welcome back to my channel. It's Charles. So today's video is going to be very emotional for me. And honestly, going forward, some of my videos are going to be touchy subjects that I believe that we should be talking about. Things that I believe that most people aren't talking about. So today's video is going to be a recap of 2021 and everything that happened in 2021 and what that looks like, because it was a roller coaster. It was a lot going on. Like, I thought it was going good, then it was going bad. I don't really know. But before we go ahead and get into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video and turn those post notifications on so you know the next time I post. I also want to go ahead and say this. Some of the stuff that I will go ahead and talk about may be triggering for certain individuals. So if anything I'm talking about brings up any unwanted feelings, thoughts, or whatever the case may be, please go ahead and just turn the video off. I completely understand. I really appreciate the support, but my main concern is making sure that you're okay and your mental is okay. Because if your mental's okay, hey, what are we doing? What are we doing? Right. So let's go ahead and just dive right into January of 2021. So in January 2021, I thought things were just on the up, you know, like I had ended 2020 like 2020 was a joke. We all know it was a joke. So I'm like, well, like 2021 is going to be so much better. Like we're going to be able to go outside. Like things are just going to be better. This pandemic is going to be lifted. Like I just had so much hope, you know, like we were getting, you know, the new people in the White House, like things were just happening, right? So when I returned to Pennsylvania from being in Michigan for Christmas and everything, I came back and y'all, my apartment was horrible. So let's talk about that. So the apartment that I was living in was like a 4-bedroom suite. So it's called the Thomas Super Suite here in my apartment complex. And it's like a 1-bedroom alternative. So everyone gets their own living room, kitchenette area, so you have like your own mini fridge and like microwave. Then you get your own bedroom and your own bathroom. So it's pretty much like, I'm not gonna lie, it looks like a dorm, but not a dorm, but gives you dorm vibes, you know? So the only area that we shared was like the big kitchen area, and we had like a dining room area as well too. So my roommates at the time were just dirty and did not know how to just clean in general. So I was constantly cleaning the apartment. I was constantly taking the trash out. Like it was just really a hot mess. And I just felt so uncomfortable. And this is my first time actually living with guys. My previous time, you know, in my apartments, I did live with a girl, and it wasn't the best experience either, but it was better than living with guys overall. So I'm just like, okay, Charles, just go with the flow. Like, it's okay, everything. In 2020, like early, like November-ish, one of my roommates had moved out just because of the overall cleanliness of my apartment. And it was just, that's how bad it was. It was just dirty. Like my roommates, like it was one in particular that was just so just messy. Like, and he did not care. He truly did not give any types of fucks towards anybody, literally. And he just was dirty. So the stove was constantly dirty. The refrigerator, like the apartment smelled horrible. My biggest thing is like the lint trap in the dryer. Like, come on. How, like, why are we not changing that? That's most definitely a fire hazard, but whatever. So flash forward to like January, like 21st or 20th of 2021. And my roommate, one of them decided to go ahead and break all the wallflowers I had in the common area because they were just over the smell or whatever the case may be. And I came home from work and I was like, what is going on? Like, why is this even happening? Like, why is my stuff by my door broken? And at first I was like, maybe maintenance came in and like accidentally did something. Like, I don't really know. So I put in the group chat that we had, you know, in my apartment, like, hey, like my wallflowers are at my door. Like, who touched them? Like, what happened? And I said it very nicely. Like, I'm such a chill and nice person. So that's, you know, how I came across. And one of my roommates decided that he wanted to pick, you know, today to mess with Charles. I guess this was his day. I think he was feeling himself because Charles is so nice. I don't really say anything. I just go with the flow. But today, he had the wrong person. So he comes in the group chat like, I did it because I didn't like the smell. All in all capital letters, mind you. I'm like, okay. And I said, I understand that you don't like the smell, but the wallflowers are here just because the overall cleanliness of the apartment is not good and it stinks. So I did go ahead and you put these wallflowers in the common area simply because this was happening. So he went off on a whole tangent, and I'm not replying because I don't entertain drama. I don't like the whole arguing thing, whatever. And he kept saying stuff, and I was like, oh, here we go. So I literally said, like, if there's like an actual problem, please come to me at my door and we can talk about it in person. Like, I don't do the whole texting thing. Like, just call me, talk to me. That's how I like to go ahead and communicate. He came to my door with a whole attitude, y'all, like, and I'm like, you picking the wrong day to mess with me. Why me? Out of all the people, why me? So he's like, well, like, I'm not gonna do anything and I'm not gonna even pay for it. I don't care if they're broke. And like, he's literally going off. And at this point, like, to protect Charles's peace, I just have to close my door. Yep, close my door. Close my door, and I emailed the leasing office pretty much like everything that happened, like everything. And I got a response saying that pretty much there's nothing they can do. Nothing they can do. So I'm like, wait. First of all, don't tell me there's nothing to do when, one, I used to work in leasing, and one, I'm probably the only person in this apartment that's read my lease from front to back. This is what I did for a living for 2 years. So I already know. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this answer for tonight. I'm gonna go to sleep and I'm just gonna deal with everything in the morning. But that night before I went to sleep, I just pretty much emailed the leasing office all the pictures that I've had, all the text message conversations and everything. Cause I was like, maybe if I provide proven documentation, like, they'll change their answer. So I wake up to an email in the morning saying that basically if I really felt that unsafe, that I could just call the police. I'm like, did y'all not see the pictures? Did not see any? I'm confused. So what did I do? Yep, I called the police. I'm not dealing with this. I'm not. Like, I've dealt with it literally from June when they moved in till January. No, I'm not continuing to do this. I'm not. And mind you, I had already signed my lease for my 1-bedroom apartment for the following year. So I'm just like, y'all gonna have to figure something out, put me somewhere, like, I don't really care. So the police ended up coming and everything. When the police came, they're just like, it's so dirty in here. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And the police coming back to my little, cubicle area, my apartment area. And they're like, wow, it smells so good. It's so clean. And I'm like, I know. So he was like, obviously, I don't think you're the problem why it's not clean, but like, tell me what's going on. So I'm telling the police what's going on and everything. And while I'm talking to the police, like, the weird roommate who tried to argue with me the night before, he comes out and he's irate, y'all. Like, he's like, why are the police here? Like, he's going off. And the police are just like trying to calm him down. Like, hey, we're just coming to just, you see what's going on and everything. Nobody's in trouble. We're just trying to de-escalate the situation. And like, again, I didn't call the police to get anyone in trouble. I just wanted to get out of the situation that I was in. That's it. I didn't really care what the police did, for real, for real. So I'm just like, explaining everything, and he's going off. Basically like, yeah, he has all these wildflowers in the common area, blah, blah, blah. And the officer was like, well, Charles is most definitely permitted to have anything in the common area because it's a shared space and everything. But the one thing that you have to do is make sure the apartment is clean. So that is a violation of your lease. What Charles is doing is not wrong, but what you're doing is wrong. And the officer's like, and I don't like the tone that you're using with me. Because when I tell you my roommate was going off, like, and I'm just sitting there like, what's wrong? Like, do you need a hug? Because the math wasn't mathing why you were so upset when you're in the wrong. You broke my property. You broke my stuff. And then via text message told me that you were not paying for it. Like, you don't care. That's not what this is. So while the police were in my apartment, I get a call from the leasing office and they're like, well, we can actually move you to your 1-bedroom that you signed for next year, or we can move you to another like Time Super Suite like that you're in. I'm like, go ahead and move me to the 1-bedroom. And after we hung up, I'm like, I bet. I knew y'all could do something. Like, y'all really thought I was gonna call the police? Like, I'm not dealing with that. And I feel bad for residents who are not like me that may be even experiencing this, because it's like, what do you do? Like, they don't even know what to do. But because I've had previous leasing experience and I was a leasing manager and everything what that looks like I know the proper procedures to go ahead and get out of things. But for people who just don't know, like, come on, like, what? So it's very imperative that y'all read y'all leases. Because when I sent them the email, I was like, Section 46 states this. Section 50 states this. So I was giving facts because I know And I know there's proper procedures how to get out of things. So I needed to go ahead and get facts. So make sure y'all read y'all leases. So anyways, luckily I was able to go ahead and move out and move into my 1 bedroom at the end of January. So I'm really like, y'all, life is on the up and up. Like, I felt good. Like, also I reached my year anniversary at my job, did a whole like photo shoot. Like, I was feeling great, you know, like I was seeing like, wow, this is my first time living on my own, like really on my own. So like, I was very like curious and just nervous, like what was going to go down. So February came and I'm just like, wow, like it's been 3 weeks, you know, since I've been in my apartment. And honestly, not gonna lie, the first month in my apartment like was a big adjustment. Simply because I was so used to just like hearing people interact. I was just so used to just, I don't know, like just not used to being in my own space. And it's just me, so it's just quiet. So it was me and my 4 walls and just me. So like it was a lot to get used to. And I'm not gonna say like it took a month. It took way more than a month to go ahead and just get used to living alone, because it's a whole different experience. And me growing up with siblings and, you know, just being the oldest, like I'm not really used to being by myself, if that makes sense. So like this was a very new and interesting experience that I was dealing with. So during this time, like I was like, Charles, like we're gonna better ourselves, get our mental together. I went on this like workout journey, like everything. I was like, this is what's going to happen. So February was pretty much going well. Like I was working out consistently. Like I was just getting to know Charles a little more, getting to know like me. And I had the time to do so. Like my job was going well. I was in school. Like everything was just kind of just going with the flow. So March came along. In the beginning, it was pretty good. Like it was genuinely like, I thought like 2021 was about to be a bang, y'all. Like I was like, it's really like, it's hitting. Like it's actually pretty good. Like life is not terrible. And the week before March 17th, I was at my job and some stuff happened and it hurt me, y'all. Like, it hurt me. And I was just like, wow, okay. And it just made me reevaluate everything at my job, like everything. And honestly, like, I started to like become quiet. You know, I was just like, I'm not gonna say anything like this. It was too much. So pretty much like someone was let go and I was just like, what is happening? Like, and I was really close to that person, and just that person, seeing that person motivated me to be a better version of myself. You know, like, I was like, wow, this person's empowered. Like, this is great. Like, it's great to see that because I normally didn't see that in everything. So when the person left, I'm just like, so I was just like really just out of sorts and just upset and everything. So I just spent the weekend collecting myself, getting myself together. And the following week, it was eating at me, y'all. Like I was just so upset. Like, what is happening? Like, I just didn't understand the entire process of what was happening in my job, why things were changing, what was going on. So I ended up actually having a conversation with my boss, pretty much just saying like, this is how I feel about the situation. This is, you know, what's going on, and everything. And at the time I felt that I was, you know, what information that I shared was received and it was great and it was wonderful, wonderful experience. But shortly after that conversation, I actually got into an accident. And mind you, this is March 17th now. I got into a car accident where I was on my way home from Starbucks. And I was turning like in a 2-lane turning lane, and a lady decided that I didn't exist and ran into my passenger side. And I just sat in my car like, what's happening? And mind you, when you're already in a state of like, what is going on in life, and then something traumatic happens to you, you're just really just like, wait, what is really going on? So I'm just stuck. I'm literally stuck behind my car, like, I don't know what to do. And the lady who hit me, she ran through the light, and I just knew she was gonna get on the freeway and just try to like run off. Luckily, she was able to, she pulled over when she ran the light and everything, and I went right behind her, and I'm just like, I'm having a full-blown like panic attack. Like, I did not know what to do. I was on the phone with my mom, like, I just got into an accident. Like, I'm literally like, cannot talk. And luckily, like, I had a witness behind me a lady came up behind me and she was like, hey, I'm just here just because, like, I just want to, you know, when the police come, I just want to make sure, like, we all know what happened. I saw her hit you and everything, and I'm black. The lady who hit me was white. And the lady, my witness, was white. And she was like, I don't want no race things going on, and I just want to make sure she's not lying. So I just want to be here to support you. And at that moment, I was like, wow. Like, I really appreciate that. Like, I would have never thought in the county that I'm in that there would be white people that would be as open as that and just be there as support. So I really appreciated that. So while the lady is, she's trying to talk to me and everything, and I'm like, girl, leave me alone. Like, I can't. And my mom had called my friend Ashana, and she was like a few minutes away. So she ran down this hill and everything to come, you know, see me and everything, make sure I was good. Like, it was just so much going on. And I'm just sitting here like, this is my first accident. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm literally freaking out, y'all. Like, freaking out. So I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, we get the police come, they get, you know, our insurances, all that stuff gets all taken care of. And mind you, I'm still in a state of like, what is going on? And at the time, the police asked that I need my car towed. And it looked like it needed to be towed, but at the same time, it looked like it was drivable. And I was like, I just wanted to get out of the area that I was in. Cause like, mind you, we're basically like next to the freeway. So we're like in traffic. It was a lot going on. And I was like, well, and my house is 2 minutes away. 2 minutes away. And I was like, I'll just drive my car to my house and have my insurance come pick it up in the morning. Cool. So I'm driving the car to the house and literally it's shaking. It was so unstable, honestly. Like, I don't know why I just didn't have them just tow it. Like, luckily my friend was in the car with me and I was just like, okay, Charles, just breathe. Got this. You know, you got it. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, in my mind, it's just racing, y'all. Like, it's racing. So I went to the emergency room and luckily everything was fine. But like, I was having severe back issues. Like, my back was hurting, like everything, like my muscles were sore. Like, it was just horrible. I had a headache, whatever. So I was in the hospital for like 4 hours or so and everything. And they sent me home. I had some pain medicine and they were just pretty much just like, you need to rest. And I'm like, okay. During this particular time, like, I was stuck, y'all. Like, I was in a frenzy. I was just like, what's life? What's going on? And I slowly started to become depressed. Slowly started to just be in my head about everything. Literally about everything. So I'm just like, okay, Charles, you got this. But I look at that time now as a blessing simply because if I didn't have an accident, y'all wouldn't see my face on YouTube. I actually posted my first YouTube video of my grass wall that I filmed back in February on March 26th, almost 10 days after my accident. I had a lot of free time. I was home off work because I was in pain and stuff. So I was like, Charles, stop procrastinating. Like, do it. Like, do it. Like, maybe this is why this had to happen. Like, because now you have free time, just do what you want to do. Do it. And I did it, and that first video was extremely successful. So it was like, okay, like, I didn't understand why this was, like, necessarily happening to me, but, like, in a way, a positive situation came out of it. So May came along, and like I said, I'm still going through it at work, and I just wanted a break. So my friend Ashana was like, well, do you want to go to Miami with me on your birthday? And I'm just like, I've never been to Miami. Like, I'll be 22. Like, why not? Like, why not? So in May, I actually ended up going home for my birthday, for my actual birthday. And then the week after, I decided to spend the week in Miami. And honestly, going home, like, y'all, I vlogged the entire time. And I know y'all don't see it on my YouTube channel, but it's not there. Simply because it never got posted. I had a wonderful time at home in Michigan for my birthday. Had a wonderful time in Miami. I felt like it was like well needed. It was like a spiritual like growth. Like, I don't know. Being in Miami was so transformative. But I was just like, wow. So we ended up coming back on June 7th. And when my friend and I flew back on June 7th, we were also going to just drive back to Pennsylvania with my sister as well. So mind you, the day before I was coming back home from Miami, my mom had called me and said she wasn't feeling well, saying that her mouth was swollen and all this. And I'm like, what's happening? Like, girl, are you okay? So when we get back, you know, she picks us up from the airport and everything. We look at her mouth and we were like, are you okay? Like, her mouth was just swollen, everything. She had went to the dentist. They had prescribed her medicine. I'm like, wow, but I don't really feel comfortable driving back to Pennsylvania and leaving my mom like this. Like, she just didn't look well. Like, it was very apparent she didn't feel well. And I'm just like, but she's like, Charles, I need you to go back. Like, you know, you have a life, just go do you, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, cool. So unfortunately, on our way back to Pennsylvania, we were on the Ohio Turnpike, and the same side that was fixed for my March 17th accident, those two tires decided to blow. And we ended up spinning and hitting a wall. At this point, y'all, was over it. I was over it. I was crying. I didn't even know what to say. And honestly, like, I do have a clip of how I was feeling during this time as I recorded it, so I might insert it here. Okay, so this is my car, y'all. As y'all can see by the tires, I don't know. So I don't know if I told you all already yet, but I did get into a car accident in March, and coincidentally, this is the exact same side that's messed up. And my car was saying like tire pressure system or something like that.
Or check tire pressure.
Yeah, and my mom told me to, when I got back to Pennsylvania, to go ahead and get it fixed and everything. And those are the two tires that blew out. Like I said, I have no idea what really happened. Like, I'm very blessed that everything's okay. Everyone is okay. But I don't know. I truly don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know what to do. And yeah, I was going through it. Like, we tried to call my insurance with Geico. Geico was pretty much saying that there was nothing they could do because there was 3 people in the car. My sister was having an anxiety attack in the back. My friend was just like trying to hold it together and be strong, but like she's freaking out, and we're all just like stranded on the Ohio Turnpike. When I say stranded, like I mean stranded. And I'm just like, we're only 3 hours away from Pennsylvania, like from being at home. Like, I'm just crying. And the only thing I could do was cry, because for a brief moment, y'all, I didn't think we was gonna make it. When the car started spinning and just started doing whatever it wanted, like, all I did was just sit there, close my eyes, and pray. Because I was like, we might go. And the part that scared me and hurt me the most, like, honestly, if it was me in the car by myself, I wouldn't have felt as bad as I did with my friend and my sister. Because it's like, not only could I, you know, been injured, but they could have died. They could have been injured. And I was just over it. I couldn't. And luckily I did have AAA insurance as well too. So roadside came and picked me up and everything. They're like, well, what do you want me to do with your car? Like, I'm just like, at this point, take me to a tire shop, put 2 tires on that car, and I'm gonna make it work till we get back to Pennsylvania and figure it out there, because I just wanna go home. I'm irritated, I'm annoyed. We waited on the Ohio Turnpike for the tow truck in general for like almost an hour and a half. So it was like, I can't. I was like, I just want to go. So they ended up taking us to the tire shop and everything, and it was a weird area in Ohio. Weird, and I'm just terrified. I was like, first of all, we 3 black people, we go get lynched. That's all I kept thinking about because of where we were. Like, I did not know what was about to happen. So this man comes out and looks at the car, and he was like, well, I can put 2 tires on it and everything. It's gonna take a while, but it's gonna be $175. I'm like, I don't really care how much it is. I need you to do it. I don't really care. Just do it. And he put those tires on my car, and my car was lopsided, y'all. When I say lopsided, like, I mean, one was up, one was down, and I was just like, well, at this point, we go have to make this work. I knew, obviously, there was other things wrong with the car, you know, and everything, but what was I supposed to do? Geico was my actual insurance, wasn't gonna come and help me. AAA could only do so much. So it's like, what am I supposed to do when we 3 hours away from home? So they put those, you know, tires on the car, and I had to drive paranoid. Now it's dark outside, mind you. and raining with these 2 donut tires with my car being lopsided, and I can only go up to like 50 miles per hour. Barely that. Anytime I would go over 50, the car would start to shake. And I was terrified. And I'm very blessed to have my friend and my sister in the car the entire time. And even though they were also scared, they were very motivational during the time. They're like, Charles, you got this. Like, we go get home. Like, and just very motivational and talking to me the entire time, because I'm crying while driving. Like, I'm emotional. I'm like, we could have died. I'm just processing, and I'm driving in the dark, in the rain, and just, I was going through it. So we get back to Pennsylvania finally and everything. I parked that car on 10 miles to E. I didn't really care. I didn't really care what was going on with it. Like, I just was like, hey, I need to go in the house. It's now like 11 o'clock. Our original ETA to Pennsylvania was like 7 o'clock. So now that it's 11 o'clock, I'm like, I'm tired. I'm tired, like, and anyone knows, after crying on and everything, you're real tired. So my body is just like, through. And we just got into an accident. So the next day, call Geico, try to get all that set up and everything, because I'm just like, this is, coming from the last accident, it was never fixed properly or anything like that. And that was a whole big debacle of trying to get that even handled. They came and picked up the car, and y'all, the dealership had my car from June 7th until July 26th. That process was dumb. And don't get me wrong, did I have a rental car? I did. And when I went to Enterprise the day after they came to pick up my car and everything, they were telling me the dealership that was fixing my car, like, are known to have all these issues, which is Blaze Alexander here in State College. They are known to have all these issues and everything, like, it happened to some of their rental cars. I'm like, and I didn't know about this? And I just sent my car back there to get repaired? Like, what is going on? So I'm at this point, like, from June 7th to July 26th, I'm utilizing the rental until July 20th. On July 20th, that's when Enterprise said, you need to bring that rental car back. I'm like, I can't bring nothing back to y'all if I don't have a car. And the dealership was saying that all the parts was back ordered. But mind you, my adjuster went MIA. She literally went MIA. I have no idea what she was doing. I was, emailing her, calling her, texting her, no response. So I ended up actually dealing with her supervisor the entire time to get everything situated. So on July 25th, they basically told me that they didn't know when the parts were coming from my Jeep. And I said, wait, well, so when am I going to have a car? And mind you, the rental car is gone. I'm like, so I don't have a car to get to work. I don't have nothing to do. Like, what are you guys going to do? So at this point, I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not. I got my Jeep towed from Blaze Alexander, broken. Took it to the Audi dealership and was like, here y'all go. I'm trading it in as is. I know it's a hot mess and it's not drivable, but whatever money y'all give me for it, I'll take it and I'll put it towards a new car. And that's exactly what I did. And I was like, wow. And mind you, this entire process, like, my anxiety was so high this summer simply because I'm dealing with that, and I'm still in school during the summer. I took 6 classes this summer. So even while I'm in Miami for my birthday, I'm doing schoolwork. Even when I was in Detroit, I'm doing schoolwork. When I got back after my accident, I'm doing schoolwork. Overwhelmed. Like, just like, what is going on? Dealing with my job. So this car situation was really stressing me out. And honestly, when I got my 2019 Jeep, it was a lease, and then I had my grandmother as my co-signer. This was the first time I actually got to buy something of my own in just my name. So dealing with that and that process and just doing it alone, I was scared. I was terrified, didn't think it was gonna work. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was terrified. But luckily, I was blessed enough to go ahead and get the car, and I was like, okay, maybe this is the part of the year where things are going to shift. Things are going to get better for me. And I'm fine. Like, Charles, you're fine. And I kept telling myself, you are fine. So from July 26th on, like, I'm just still struggling with, work stuff and dealing with the atmosphere there. And at this point, like, with everything happening, I never had time to process my emotions because things were just happening back to back, back to back. So there came a point where I just was like, this is a lot. This is a lot. Like, between my work, school, everything, I was like, I just need a break. So before the fall semester started, I was like, I'm just gonna go home really quickly and just spend a week in Michigan and just let go. And I thought that was going to be the most beneficial thing. I ended up getting there I believe the Friday before classes started, and I go to Penn State World Campus, so all of my classes are online, so I didn't worry about having to be here in person for classes or anything like that. But I went home, everything, and the Friday I got there, I went to surprise my family because the only person who knew I was coming home was my 20-year-old sister Chloe. And I go to my grandmother's house, and my mother, y'all, could barely walk and barely breathe. And I'm just like, when was anyone going to call me? Then I walk into my grandmother's house, she's super sick. I'm like, wait, so I'm struggling in Pennsylvania on my own, and y'all over here basically dying, and no one is picking up the phone to call me? Like, I get it. I'm going through my own battles. I have my own things going on, my own mental health to deal with and everything. But like, did you not think this is going to affect me more by not telling me? But I'm coming home to this, and this is what you are hiding from me? So I'm like, what's going on? We're trying to talk about it and everything. My mom is like, well, I have a doctor's appointment on Monday and everything. And I'm just like, okay. I'm gonna go with the flow until we go to the doctor's appointment. And then I'm gonna step in and I'll take over. Because what I was hearing, I was not liking. And at this point, I shifted like what was going on with me to like what's wrong with my mom. So that's all I was worrying about. Monday came along, we went to the doctor's appointment, and the doctor's appointment really wasn't the most helpful. So at this point, I'm like, mother, you didn't really get any answers. We're going to the emergency room. That's it. So we ended up actually going to the emergency room, and they admitted my mom for 8 weeks. She was in kidney failure. Pretty much, the doctors were looking at her like, how are you even alive? Like, how are you even walking? How are you even doing half the stuff that you're doing still? And this all resulted, y'all, from what happened on June 7th with her mouth. She had an allergic reaction to the medicine, which ended up damaging her kidneys so bad till she went into kidney failure. And I'm like, this is too much. At this point, like, I was like, okay. Everything shifted to like, I have to take care of my little sister who's 9, take care of my mom. I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about Charles right now. This is what I'm focused on because I'm the only boy and I'm the oldest. And it's my mom. Like, that's my best friend. That's my road dog. So for her to be in this state of where like, we don't know what's going on, like I'm freaking out. And I'm trying to make sure my 9-year-old sister doesn't even get to be upset or even experience like what's really happening. So I'm just trying to make sure she's okay and everything. And I'm very transparent, like, hey, mom's in the hospital, this is what's going on and everything, because I'm not going to hide anything from her. She's 9. You know, she still needs to know what's happening. But I'm still going to make sure she's okay emotionally. So her and I, you know, during this time, I was taking care of my sister. I was dad. And we went school shopping, we did everything. And honestly, y'all, like, that was a lot for me. Like, to become a parent and with such short, you know, notice of a 9-year-old pretty much. And I was like, okay, this is actually a lot to deal with. Plus, I'm focusing on making sure my mom is okay in the hospital, like going there every single day. Like, I was just all over the place. And school was not on my mind. And mind you, I was supposed to graduate in December. So like, I'm just like, like, what's going on? Like, I need to figure this out. Like, I'm just overwhelmed. So long story short, during this time, like, I really couldn't hang out with friends. And when I did, it was great, but I just emotionally just wasn't there. Like, I just wasn't present. I wasn't present with Charles's emotions, present with who Charles was. Like, I was just so like scattered, running around, making sure everyone's okay. And then when mom got out the hospital, she had to be on dialysis 3 times a week. So I'm taking her on dialysis Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and on Tuesday, Thursday, take her to her doctor's appointment, as well as taking my little sister to school every single morning. And I'm like, okay. But like, I'm noticing like Charles is declining. Everything is declining. So I was able to return back to Pennsylvania like the beginning of October. And while I was away, you might be asking like, Charles, what about your job? What was going on with your job? I guess that was God saying I needed a break from my job, I guess. but I was on family medical leave, and basically that just secures your job and everything. But like, I was getting paid, but not getting paid. I wasn't getting paid my full paycheck amounts, but getting paid, you know, what I could based off of my leave time and stuff like that. And that was honestly not the best because I support myself. I'm completely independent and support myself. So, and I just bought a car that was higher than my last car. So it's like, I'm broke. I was going through it. So when I returned to Pennsylvania, like everything at my job was different. My role was different. Everything was different. Like I was still in school and trying to figure out how I'm gonna work the school situation after not doing work for like August to October. And then I was just stuck. Like at this point, like I'm depressed. And while I was at home in Michigan, I could not really talk to my therapist because of like how the telehealth works, because I wasn't in the state of Pennsylvania. And then on top of that, my therapist was kind of making an exception for that, but I couldn't afford the copays because I'm broke. So I'm just sitting here like I can't even go to therapy. I can't, like I was just stuck. So when I returned to Pennsylvania, I walked in on several eviction notices on my door. And I'm just like, okay. And I communicated with my leasing office to let them know what was going on, but obviously they didn't care. So I'm just like, okay. So I was overwhelmed. And mind you, from August to October, I never dealt with why I went home. I was going home to escape, to let those feelings out, and I never was allowed to do so. I was never had the chance to do so. So I'm just in a space like miserable. I'm back in state college, miserable. So as time progressed in October, I actually ended up getting sick. Like when I say sick, like I honestly thought I had COVID. So I'm asthmatic, so I usually use my nebulizer and everything if I'm, experiencing like can't breathe or whatever the case may be. And the Friday before Halloween, I went to urgent care just to be like, y'all, like I can't breathe. I gave them a rundown like why I could be like this, and everything. And they're like, okay, but you should be good to go back to work on Monday. Because I had to take off Thursday and Friday because I literally could not go to work. Like I'm sick. So I'm like, okay, cool. And the entire weekend I'm just on my, using my albuterol, using my nebulizer just because I can't breathe. And I'm just, and when you're sick and you're sad already, like it just heightens everything. And with albuterol actually sometimes triggers anxiety or pretty much intensifies your anxiety and everything. So this could come out as like, you're having anxiety attacks throughout the day. This could come out as nightmares or whatever that, whatever that could look like. So during this time, y'all, I was fed up. I was so done with life. I was so over it. Like, I was just like, I don't care anymore. I don't. And October 31st, Halloween is my favorite time of the year. And I couldn't be with friends. Majority of my friends were kind of gone anyway because they've graduated. And I'm just like, I can't. Like, I'm so over it. And honestly, like, I wanted to die. I did not want to be here. I had no intention of being here. Like, on October 31st, that Sunday, I went into my bathroom and I cried on my bathroom floor, like screaming at God, like, take me. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm so ready to go. I don't want to be here. I don't. Like, I've served my purpose. Like, I'm a wonderful person. Like, at this time, I'm ready to go. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm going to take 5 melatonin and hit my bong, and whatever happens, happens. That's what I was thinking at the time. And I woke up the next day and was like, just mad. I woke up at 5 p.m. the next day just screaming like, why? Why is this happening to me? Why do I feel this way? Like, I was so over it. I was so just like, I hate myself. I hate myself. And then talking to my friends about it, like the week before, I was having these thoughts. Everyone kept talking about all the materialistic things that I had. Well, Charles, you got your car. You have a nice apartment. You have all these things. It's like, okay, cool. I'm very grateful for those things, but I'm not happy. Materialistic things do not make you happy. That's not that. Like, that's not the purpose. I didn't do those to bring me joy. Like that wasn't the overall purpose. Like, I'm still miserable. I'm unhappy. And one of my closest friends, Kyla, like pretty much knew more about everything than anyone else. And she was so concerned. And I was just like, girl, it's okay, blah, blah. And honestly, during that time where I was so overwhelmed and just wanted to die, talking to God, I actually ended up writing everyone that I loved a letter. Like, basically just, this is it. And I actually had to go delete them now, simply because rereading them, they were so emotional and just so, I was in such a manic state at the time, and I just wanted to give up. And the weird part is, always growing up, my dreams have always been real or came true or told some type of real life story. And during that time when I was asleep, because of all the melatonin, I had dreamed that someone was passing. I couldn't necessarily pinpoint who was passing, but I just knew someone was passing. And honestly, like, waking up, like, I thought it was me. And I was like, okay, we're good. But it obviously wasn't me. So that day, I actually ended up going to work. Everything, still sick, mind you, still sick. And after work, I'm like, I have to go to the emergency room and everything. I spent 7 hours in the emergency room, I believe, because it was so packed, you know, shortage of staff, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, I'm over here dying. And they finally realized I didn't have COVID, number one. And they gave me a steroid shot to go ahead and to allow me to breathe. And that kind of just helped me. And during this time, I was on the phone with my mom majority of the time. And she's like, Charles, what's wrong? I know there's something wrong. And everything. And I'm talking to her and opening up to her about pretty much everything that happened. I'm very transparent and open and honest with my mom. And she's like, I felt like something was off. I knew it. And we just had a long conversation. And I told her also, I said, Mom, also be prepared that something's going to happen this week. I don't know who it's going to happen with, but something's going to happen. She was okay. So going home that night, like, honestly, like, it made me reflect about a lot, because it's like, Charles, like, you wanted to die the day before. Now you're in the hospital with IV fluids because you're actually sick. So it's like, oh, I was just like, Charles, you need to get it together. Like, come on now. Like, life is not that terrible. You got this. So next day, I actually received a phone call from my mom, and she said that my great aunt had passed. And I said, okay. So my dream was right. My mom was super distraught, and I was just like, okay. So, like, one of the funeral arrangements and everything, and they were going to be that weekend or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. And she's like, well, we're gonna figure out how we're gonna get there, because it was in Connecticut and everything. And I'm like, well, just drive to me to Pennsylvania, like, and I'll drive my car from Pennsylvania to Connecticut. That's totally fine. So, but my mom was really not able to drive because she couldn't drive long distances from after everything, her dialysis and stuff like that. So my sister drove with my other sister, and it was just, they came here and we drove to Connecticut. Honestly, y'all, when we went to that funeral, that was the most enlightening situation of my entire life. Like, the most spiritual awakening. I don't really know what to call it, but something that stands out to me most about that entire experience was basically a combination of what was said during the funeral of, when you're grateful, the happiness will come. And it stuck with me, because for the entire month of October, entire month of September, August, leading, after my car accident in March, I was searching to be happy again. Happy at work, happy with my friends, happy with everything. And I'm just like, I'm not. I'm sad. Like, I'm so I don't even know how to explain how I feel. And I was like, okay, let me just think about this. And honestly, like, that shifted my entire perspective going forward for the rest of the year. I was like, you're right. I should be grateful and just be happy. Be grateful, because the happiness will come. Like, because when you're grateful, you think about everything that you achieved, you did, and be like, wow, like, you smile because, like, wow. So yes, being grateful, that happiness will always come. as well as everything happens for a reason. And I'm at this time at the funeral, like, I'm reflecting on every negative thing that happened to me thus far. And it's like, it's so strange because it's like Monday, I was in such a manic state. That Sunday, Monday, I was in such a manic state. But now that it's Saturday, it's like, I'm feeling completely like centered. And I'm just like, am I crazy? Like, what's wrong? Like, I just didn't know what was happening. But I was just overwhelmed with everything at the time. So it's like, okay. So when I came back to Pennsylvania after the after the funeral and everything, I was just like, Charles, you're gonna focus on you going forward. You're not gonna focus on nobody else. You're gonna focus on you. So I did a medical withdrawal from the Penn State University from the semester because I can't. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this work, and I'm not gonna put that stress on myself to do 3 months of work with 2 months of the semester left. I couldn't. So I'm not gonna stress myself out. And then I kind of shifted my attitude at work too, where it was like, okay, Charles, you know how these people are. They're not gonna change. Don't let that affect you. Don't let people being people bother you, because you're going in there with the intentions of changing the youth and families that you work with's life. That's it. You're not going in there to be a personable person with everybody in the office. You're not going in there to make sure everyone is your best friend in the office. You're going in there to serve a purpose. And ever since I did that, I was like, okay, Charles, it's okay. You got this. And I felt just that energy boost. And Thanksgiving came along, and I was like, okay, still feeling, okay, and everything. December came, and my finances were still had never recovered from June, from that accident and everything. They never had really came up. And then when I was gone from August to October, I'm really broke, so I never really had, my funds never came back to what they used to be. So I'm still struggling financially, and I received another pretty much eviction notice on my door on December 1st. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to do. What's going to happen? I don't have the money in my bank account, but I was not worried about it. I was like, I'm going to try a new approach and just not worry about it, because if I don't worry about it, I know it's going to work itself out. And that's the philosophy that I had. So I applied for emergency rental assistance back in October when I first received the eviction notice and everything. And they were telling me basically that they're still working on applications from back in March. They don't know when they're going to get to mine. And I'm just sitting here and like, ugh. So in December, I was like, let me call them again to see what happened. So the first week of December, I called them, and they tell me basically they're working on dates pretty much after I submitted my application. I'm like, well, I never got called or anything. They're like, well, we'll call you on Monday. Our supervisor out of town. We'll see what we can do. They called me the following Monday, y'all, assigned me a case manager, and paid my rent from literally December to March. And I'm like, whew, okay. But I was like, maybe this new approach that I'm trying is working. As in, I'm going with the flow, being grateful. It is what it is. We're good. And I was like, okay, you got this. But honestly, you're not going to be happy all the time. Things are going to happen. Things are going to come up. And that's pretty much what happened. My job overall was getting better since I changed my mindset, and I was like, okay, cool. That's fine. But I had questioned if I should go home for 2 weeks for Christmas break. Should I go home for 2 weeks, or should I stay and work? And at the time I was like, I'm not going to stay and work simply because to protect my mental health and protect my peace. I didn't like the environment I was in general. So go home. You're going to be fine. And honestly, I should have just stayed and worked. So I went home December 22nd, which is my mom's birthday, and got my hair straightened. It was great. And the next day, your boy was having diarrhea and vomiting from December 23rd to January 4th. I'm just like, what is going on? I'm just like, so this is how we're going to end the year? This is it. Come to find out, on New Year's Eve, took an at-home COVID test. It said it was positive. Went to urgent care on New Year's Day because I was, just super sick. They literally told me that either they were going to call the ambulance to take me to the emergency room, or I had to drive myself to the emergency room because I was extremely pale. I'm like, oh, geez. And for me, all I thought about was my mom again. Like, I'm in pretty much the same situation as her, like me overthinking and being that way. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the hospital, I'm gonna have kidney failure. Going through it. Go to the emergency room, and they're convinced up and down that I don't have COVID because I don't have any other symptoms, but my stomach hurts. And I had a COVID. The rapid test came back positive. The PCR came back positive. I'm just sitting here like, and I'm freaking out because my mom is immune compromised. So I'm just like, I'm around her. I don't know what to do. Like, I was just like, this is a great way to bring in 2022 at this point. Like, I just was over it. And honestly, like, I had driven back to Pennsylvania on January 2nd. And I was just like, during that entire car ride, I was really evaluating everything that happened to me in 2021. And honestly, y'all, it was a roller coaster, as you can see. But would I change anything? Honestly, no. Everything truly happens for a reason. And everything that happened this year wasn't what I wanted to happen, but it's made me such a strong and resilient person. Did I want to die this year? Yes. Did I try to? Yes. And do I regret that? Yes. Because life wasn't that hard for me to do that. But at the time, I thought that was the perfect thing for me to do. You know, and I was just hurt. I was upset. I was going through it. But I overcame it. Just like I've overcame everything else in my life, I overcame that. I overcame my car accident. And look, something so great happened from a March 17th accident. I didn't know why I had it, but then in July 26th, I got an Audi. So it's like, okay, this is fine. I didn't graduate in December like I wanted to, but it's okay because a lot of opportunities that I'm having right now in state college is so wild that I would have never got if I would have graduated. Right. So, moral of the story, you can overcome anything. And I just hope me sharing my story with you all, like, let you know that one, I'm not perfect. I'm never going to get in front of the screen and tell you that I'm perfect. Just because you may see me on social media with the materialistic things that you may think are cool, does not mean I'm always going to be happy. Does not always mean like I'm in the best state. That does not mean that. So if that's how I feel, then looking at celebrities and different things like that, like they're not always in the best state. We put on personas so people perceive us in different ways. However, that's not something that Charles does. I'm a very confident person, and I just like to just talk and just share Charles in all aspects of me and be completely transparent. But I just hope that this video just allowed you all to realize that if you're going through something right now or you overcame something, you are not alone. You are not. We all go through it. We all have those thoughts. We all just have nights, days where it's like, I'm over it. And honestly, like, there's going to be times where your job is in shambles, where your life is in shambles, your friends is in shambles. People just go be in shambles. But it's up to you to decide how you're going to handle the situation. You are in control. And if I didn't learn anything else in 2021, I realized that I'm in control of Charles. And at the end of the day, when you're grateful, that happiness will always come. So with that, that's pretty much all I have for you. Like I said, I hope this helps someone. I'm glad I was able to let it off my chest. But until next time, angels, pieces.